Dozens of Israeli demonstrators demanding new elections have held a sit-in protest outside parliament. The group, calling on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to step down, was forcibly removed by police. There are reports of at least one arrest. Netanyahu's government has grown increasingly unpopular over its handling of the war on Gaza. Let's go to Laura Khan, who's in occupied East Jerusalem. Laura, polls now showing increasing unpopularity of Netanyahu.
Oh, they are indeed. And I'll just read out one of the polls to you. It's by the Khan Israel Broadcasting Corporation. It says 64% of Israelis believe Netanyahu's performance in the war after 90 days is not good, and that Benny Gantz's National Unity Party will win 33 seats if they hold another election, and Netanyahu will win 20. Now, we've just seen that protest. Not very many people at the Knesset at the moment. They only have permission to protest for around an hour, then they'll likely go home. But there have been tens of thousands of people protesting in Tel Aviv over the past few days. Many of these are members of captives' families being held in Gaza. There are around 135 being held currently. It started with protesters saying, just bring them back or bring them home now. The rhetoric is now shifting towards them calling for another election, and they want to see Benjamin Netanyahu's party gone amid a lack of trust. But it's not just pressure on the streets, there's also a huge amount of political pressure levelled against him. Benny Gantz and two members of the National Unity Party refused to go to a meeting today, a cabinet meeting. And this comes amid a wider security cabinet meeting completely falling out and being cancelled after a few hours. They were supposed to talk about the day after the war in Gaza, but there was infighting among the hard right-wing members of the cabinet and also the top Israeli military brass. Gantz put the blame directly on Netanyahu for the fallout. So he's applying a lot of pressure. Polls are saying he'll do better, and many are calling now for a re-election.
And Laura, that political division within Israel comes as the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken returns back to Israel. What is expected from that visit? Surely some very difficult conversations to be had.
Many difficult conversations, and it's amid a lot of shuttle diplomacy taking place at the moment. He will indeed arrive later on this evening and will hold many meetings tomorrow amid different politicians, not only in Israel but also in the occupied West Bank, and there is much on the agenda. Antony Blinken has spoken in Qatar a lot about the problems with the north, with Hezbollah. This is going to be the top of his agenda. They already have an envoy discussing this and trying to mediate a process with Hezbollah to not let it expand into a wider war. He's also very concerned about the Red Sea, and he doesn't want to see an expansion of the war in Gaza elsewhere. So there's been a lot of political pressure from the outside. Now, in terms of bringing it down inside Gaza to a different phase of the war, there's been a lot of pressure on him not to use the same language as the military. Many people are just calling for a simple ceasefire to allow in more aid. Blinken did mention that there's only a trickle of aid going through. Around 100 trucks is currently being checked by the Israelis at the Kerem Abu Salam border crossing before going via Rafah. And before the war, there were around 500. Now people desperately need it. The UN is warning of mass starvation in Gaza, so that will certainly be on another one on the top of the agenda. And also the captives. Families are calling for the release of the captives, and they say it can't happen unless there's a ceasefire. So more pressure on Blinken. Many are also calling out his role as a mediator when the US has bypassed Congress twice in the last few weeks in sending more weapons to Israel. They say they're using those weapons against people in the war. So how can he be a mediator in this? So he will certainly want to have some achievements on his fifth visit to Israel and the fourth visit to the region, and also call for a wider political solution between the Palestinians and the Israelis, and look at what's going to happen the day after the war.
Laura Khan there for us in occupied East Jerusalem. Thank you.